What's going on, y'all? Before this video starts, I just gotta warn y'all now that the video quality came out kind of ass due to some technical issues. So I do apologize for that. Just try bearing with me. I promise I won't screw up like this again. Please enjoy the video. What's up, y'all? It's S2K, and I'm constantly hearing complaints about how there's no fun or entertaining games to play these days. And to that, I call BS. I'm sure y'all are aware of my passion for video games by now. It actually goes as far as to playing a lot of odd and obscure games, some of which I feel need a tad bit more exposure and light show on them. So I came up with a list of my top 10 underrated games. Games of which you may or may not heard of, but my mission is to convince you, the viewer, to at least consider trying one of these games, cause Lord knows these devs deserve some recognition for their passion and creativity. So let's just get right into it.
Let's get it on. Select and make your first pick. Let's get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on. Choose and pick the best one. Let's get it on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it on. Select and make your first pick. Get it on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Number 10. Now, it's not every day you see a good Transformers game, but in 2015, Activision and Platinum Games had partnered up for a bot-on-bot hack and slash known as Transformers Devastation. Transformers Devastation is heavily influenced by the G1 continuity, taking those characters and booming them with quick combat, flashy finishers, and good old-fashioned cel shading. The story is a typical Saturday morning cartoon plot. Megatron and Decepticons are tweaking, so you take control of one of the 5 Autobots and beat the living software out of the next. I mean, look at this shit. That's an electric when Godfist even Kazi would appreciate. While I do think this game is fine and dandy, it's high on this list primarily because of Game Mix reviews when it came out nearly 10 years ago, and has been delisted from digital console marketplaces. But if you're a hacking slash or Transformers fan, get to hunting on eBay, pawn shops, or at game stores, because this shit probably won't ever be downloadable again. Guess you could say the Autobots sold out. Number 9. Admittedly, I'm not too fond of first-person games. I actually find them to be a bit tedious because I can't see my surroundings nor what the fuck my character is doing, so I typically just don't play them. However, there are some exceptions. Cluster Truck is a first-person platformer made by Landfall, and the game is just as entertaining as the title. Cluster Truck takes you through multiple levels as you jump from truck to truck to reach the end goal. And while that may sound simple enough, you will die more times than succeeding. Like imagine playing the floor is lava, but instead of your front room, it's an active traffic on the highway full of drunk drivers. Yeah, this game can get a little tricky, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't addictive. Given that every level is littered with obstacles, it forces the player to try to make the run as quick and painless as possible, especially considering that there are upgrades and abilities that help aid in your gameplay, like having a guided fall or slowing down time. This is definitely a unique first-person experience, so if you're interested, Cluster Truck goes around $15 on all digital console marketplaces, probably even cheaper on PC, and definitely cheaper than the liquor those drivers are sipping on. Number 8. Now, squares have always been such an interesting shape to me. It holds 4 corners and 6 sides if in a 3rd dimension, but how effective can something be if it's flat? Now, you could ask Taylor Swift, but playing Flat Heroes would be less complicated. Flat Heroes is a physics-based platformer starring squares that can be played up to 4 players. You complete levels by avoiding death via exploding, crushing, touching, rushing, and sitting. Basically, you want to try testing your memory and reflexes in this game because everything is pretty much out to get you. And when friends are added to the mix, they themselves could also render as a hazard. But if you could tap into Ultra Instinct or looking for a good excuse for a drinking game, Flat Heroes is available on all platforms for about $10, so just make sure your weaving skills are up to par. Number 7. Look, the year is 2024, big budget AAA games are coming out damn near every other month, and with those games comes long ass random updates, microtransactions for a costume I could have unlocked, and other pay to win bullshit. But what if you're craving a good honest challenge from an aesthetically pleasing game with a retro vibe? Well, look no further than Gravity Circuit. Gravity Circuit is heavily influenced on games of the past with sprite animations and solid colored characters that give off a bit of deja vu. This game has tight controls with some challenging platforming and retro combat, making the player feel more rewarded when completing a level, because I know I'd be timing my jumps right. And this little motherfucker right here can't seem to reciprocate my goddamn input. You can choose different levels by selecting the boss that you have to face at the end of the level, which is mad challenging but more rewarding, seeing that you can gain new abilities that will aid you through the story. Speaking of the story, if you're a fan of lore, world building, and long dialogue, this game offers a lot of that too. No, like that ass. I tapped X on the dialogue more than I did jumping. I hope this shit get fixed in the sequel. Gravity Circuit is gonna run you about like $20 something, maybe $15 on sale, but I do highly recommend this one, especially for retro enthusiasts such as myself. Number 6. Stick figures are literally some of the best drawings to depict complex situations. The simplicity of a head, 4 limbs, and a body can be put in any scenario. ancient text, bathroom identification, and even violence. Stick Fight has to be a criminally underrated game considering that it keeps the same chaotic energy from the early 2000s stick flash animations. You and 3 other players can run hands in this Black Forces sponsored physics-based platformer, and it ain't just hand-to-hand combat either. You can use guns, spears, knives, swords, lasers, bazookas, and even black fucking holes. The online gameplay is a tad bit jank, but it also offers local, which is always my preferred way to play, so I can shit talk my friends while also using the game's physics to do funny looking emotes. To add to all that is the hazardous stages you can wreak havoc on, like standing on piles of crates, avoiding spikes, dodging blocks while shooting glocks. I cannot stress how fun this game actually is, but it does hinder with single player content because there is none outside of the menu. But if that doesn't bother you, $17, get you some friends, get y'all a free night, and just go crazy. Stick Fight is available on all digital and console marketplaces. Number 5. Y'all remember Pong, right? 2 sticks hitting the ball back and forth until one player gets the ball past the other player. A simple yet competitive approach for a game around that time, but we live in the modern day. So take the same concept of Pong, add a little animosity, and crank that shit to the max, and bam, you get Lethal League Blaze. I remember when Lethal League Blaze was first dropping, and it was introduced as a unique volleyball fighting game, which I thought was going to be more of a traditional twist, but to my surprise, it's damn near like a platform fighter. Like imagine if Smash had their own version of Tekken Ball or some shit. Now this game can be played up to 4 players, however I recommend 1v1s primarily because between the opponent and the ball, you don't need space for reacting how fast the ball is coming at you. And trust me when I say fast, just cause look at this shit. Now this game does offer other modes to try to keep shit fresh, like a story mode which is basically the same as arcade mode, except it provides context onto why these characters are just going at it. And if you want to skip all that, just play arcade or some shit. To add to the variety, there is also Strikeout, which is basically this game's answer to Capture the Flag, and Lethal Volley, which is basically just volleyball. But all that with some fire-ass music and some vibrant, colorful-ass characters, and you get one of the most unique platform fighters to date. So shout out to Team Reptile for making Lethal League Blaze. It goes for just about 20 smackaroos on all digital and console marketplaces.
Game!
I also main Reese's Pieces Alt Sonata for just obvious reasons.
You's a freaky-ass nigga!
Number 4. Goku, Shadow, Nightcrawler, Seth. Now all these characters share 2 key traits that makes them relate, and that's running hands and teleportation. But what if I told you there's one man who really got that shit on lock? His name is Mr. Shifty. Mr. Shifty is a top-down linear dungeon crawler that focuses on punching and teleporting, and the story is fairly simple. You play as Mr. Shifty as he breaks in some evil rich nigga's tower to stop his evil plans by beating his evil goons and dodging evil obstacles. There are various ways you can take out enemies like throwing cans and spears or just straight up bopping them upside the heads with poles and paddles. In addition to all the violence is teleporting. Teleporting is the main quirk of the game, hence the name. And given that you can teleport, the level design follows suit, making you think quicker on your feet as you teleport from shots, lasers, explosions, the whole 9 goddamn yards. As I said before, it's a small simple little game with 18 stages of movement and malice, but for what it is worth the $15 on all console marketplaces and PC. And personally I like showing love to little games like these because the creativity shines through the gameplay. To take a concept as simple as teleportation and adding a little violence to it has never been so perfectly executed before. Alright, that's a lot, but I'm gonna use the segue into number 3. You heard that? That's the sound of war. Boomerang Fu is an indie game made by Cranky Watermelon, and it's so criminally underrated that if you haven't played it, you need to be jailed and chained.
I beg your pardon?
Nah, but for real, Boomerang Fu gotta be one of the most entertaining party games I've played in a while, mainly because of the way that the devs thought of making the combat intricate and simple at the same time. It gives us a competitive flair all while using chibi-style everyday consumables to give off a friendly appeal, but nigga, don't let that shit fool you. Yeah, the game might look cute and casual, but 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna be doing your best impression of the niggas in Call of Duty in 07, locked in and mad at the whole lobby. Boomerang Fu can be played up to 6 players local only, causing even more mayhem when playing because this is also a one-hit kill game. So if you're already fighting for your life with 3 players, you really gotta lock in when it's 6. In addition to all that, the game has power-ups that can be stacked together, like explosive boomerangs, telekinetic boomerangs, or multi-boomerangs, or my personal favorite, teleport boomerangs. Top to some of the decent level designs and controlled hazards, and Boomerang Fu just becomes one of the best indie party games ever made. I'd highly recommend this one, especially if you have friends, kids, or roommates, because as I already said, this game is local only, meaning there's no online mode, period. Which is honestly fine in my opinion. The last thing I want to see is clips of casuals getting gimped out of dubs by online tryhards. So if you got some downtime or looking for shit to do with friends, I'd check out Boomerang Fu. It's available on all console marketplaces for about 15 bucks. So start locking in and start cooking. Number 2. These are a pair of black forces, and they have become something of a modern urban legend, believed to give the person who wields said attire unimaginable chaotic prowess, and many forms of media has tried to replicate this. Movies, anime, and of course, video games. Now there are more games in the category that I like to call Black Forces simulators, and I'd actually love to make another top 10 based off of that list alone at some point. But today, we're talking about one of the most well-executed games of that caliber, and that is Midnight Fight Express. Midnight Fight Express is made by Humble Games. It's ironic because this game is everything but humble. You control a character named Babyface as he and his drone homie fight against controlled crime running rampant in the streets of rage. This game is a beat 'em up with linear level progression and bird's eye view perspective, making the gameplay more engaging as you take down waves of enemies with style, because this game has fluid combat and choreographed animations, making the action satisfying to watch and making the player feel more lethal. With all of that comes skill progression, unlocking new moves and abilities like grabs and finishers, a playground that's essentially a training area for you to test out said abilities and items, character customization, in-game challenges, and trophy progression, and of course, a shit ton of murder. I love Midnight Fight Express for how violent and humorous it could be, especially when the game is 40 stages long and as cheap as $20 on all gaming marketplaces. Yes, that's even including the Nintendo Switch. Midnight Fight Express is so close to being the number 1 pick on the list is how well it functions and how much I love action games. It checked off a lot of boxes in my preference list, and in my honest opinion is one of the most well-crafted games I've ever played. But even with all that said, my number 1 pick just blew all that shit out of the water. But before we get to that, let's recap. Number 10, Transformers Devastation. Number 9, Cluster Truck. Number 8, Flat Heroes. Number 7, Gravity Circuit. Number 6, Stick Fight. Number 5,
Lethal League Blaze.
Number 4, Mr. Shifty. Number 3, Boomerang Fu. Number 2, Midnight Fight Express. And finally, number 1. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a game made by Team Reptile and is inspired by games in the late 90s and early 2000s, specifically Jet Set Radio, which is also one of Sega's underrated intellectual properties. Being praised for its unique approach to a video game, eventually Jet Set Radio would get a cult following that was small but strong, and based off of that strength and influence, we were able to get a game that pretty much radiates similar energy to this X Games graffiti speedrun simulator. Now while Bomb Rush might look all wild and quirky, the story is relatively simple. You play as a guy named Fox. Oh damn, my bad. You play as a guy named Ray, as he aligns himself with friends and gang members Trice and Bell as they form the Bomb Rush crew to complete 2 objectives, which is to get his head back and go all city. And to do that, you pretty much battle other gangs by outperforming them in their own district with sick ass parkour and heavy vandalism, which honestly if the US allowed this for presidential ad campaigning, I'd vote a lot faster. This game also presents itself to be more polygonal with a Y2K-like aesthetic, complementing the nostalgia factor from games of that era and paying respects to the game that encouraged Bomb Rush to be made. Also, while getting away with looking like a quirky little indie game, especially when you look at the character designs, because boy does this shit pop. I don't know what to call it outside of Y2K, but we stick with it because these characters look too cool for school. You got the baggy jeans, the chains on the waist, the big blocky polygonal planet stoppers for shoes, topped with the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. And in case you haven't caught on, the developers behind this game are also responsible for Lethal League Blaze. So they got characters switching J to cameos playable characters. All that with the eye-catching vibrant colors and cool-ass skate tricks, and this game is literally begging to be played. The gameplay is relatively simplistic given that you will be skating and doing wild-ass stunts majority of the time, kinda feeling like Tony Hawk Underground-ish, and scouting out walls to tag, but there is slight combat. The only reason I say slight is mainly because it's not an intricate combat system that demands high focus and an Adderall prescription. It's more like pressing the attack buttons and spray painting enemies, which honestly I feel is a decent approach because some players might not want to button mash in a skating game. In addition to all this is a soundtrack that balances out being chill and energetic with music mostly from the electro category. You got electro funk, electro pop, hell even flat out EDM. They even went as far as getting one of the original composers, Hideki Naganuma from Jet Set Radio, to do the music for Bomb Rush over 20 years later. And if you don't know about Uncle Decky, he basically made the themes for Jet Set Radio, Lethal League, and Bomb Rush, as well as making music for Sonic Rush, Smash Bros, and even the fucking anime Air Gear. He's definitely one of the most goated Japanese DJs in all of gaming. Bomber Cyberpunk has got to be one of my most satisfying gameplay experiences I had in a long time. It's a well-crafted, vibrant arcade-style skater with a cast of characters and music that just breathe life into this game. And with that established, I guess I'll go ahead and conclude my top 10. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment your top 10 underrated games on this video below, just so I can, get to know y'all, because y'all are getting to know me, you feel me? But yeah. Thank you for watching this video. There will be more content being uploaded soon, and I will see y'all later. Deuces.
Thanks for playing.